Hey everyone, Alan here, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about all the things that culturally shocked me as a foreigner living in South Korea. When you think of culture shock, you usually don't expect it to happen to you. I experienced it firsthand when I moved to South Korea. I've lived in the United States my whole life, so living in another country was a very different scene and setting for me. At one point I was kind of scared and uncomfortable, so we'll just start off this list from number 1. All the food is spicy in South Korea. I remember I would always ask for non-spicy food. The places and restaurants I went to, they didn't serve non-spicy food, so I was left with either not eating or eating spicy food. So I ended up eating spicy food, and I ended up growing a liking to it, but it took a good couple months to grow a liking to it. So number 2 is kind of a shocker for me. When I go to school, I normally just wear a t-shirt and jeans. But in South Korea, people dress up in like suits and girls dress up in mini skirts and whatnot. And it's dressed to impress, basically. That kind of shocked me because that's when I found out people in South Korea were really fashionable with fashion trends. It was actually snowing one of the days that I was in class, and the girls were still wearing mini skirts walking to class. In my mind, I'm just like, wow, aren't you guys like cold? But I guess being fashionable is more important than being warm. So the next thing I found out that kind of shocked me was there's no tipping in restaurants. In California or in America, we actually usually tip 15% if the service is good. In Korea, you actually don't tip at all. You just pay what you order. Had that happen once where on day 2, I left tip on the table and then the waiter chased after me all the way to the subway station and gave me my money back. And then that was when I found out that if you leave tip on the table, it's considered rude, and you're kind of smiting them. Number 4, so waiters actually don't come to your table as you're eating your food, and it's a cultural thing because they consider it to be your alone time with the food and whatnot, so they don't want to disturb you. And the only way you can flag down a Korean waiter is if you yell "저기요," and then he'll run straight to you, even if you yell halfway across the room. Number 5 is paying for the bill up front. Let's say you eat at a restaurant with your friends and you're trying to decide how much you should pay for the meal, right? Normally in America, we wait for the bill to come or the waiter to give us the check. In South Korea, it's actually the complete opposite. You actually have to go up to the counter and tell them what you ordered, and then they'll cross off each of the itemized lists one by one. This actually works out for the best. Whatever you ordered, you can actually just pay for, and then that's it. Whereas in America, they don't really like to split bills because it gets kind of messy with everyone splitting checks and whatnot. Number 6 is basically plastic surgery. Before I lived in South Korea, I actually never thought of South Korea as plastic surgery capital of the world, and that kind of was made apparent when I went to Gangnam Station, and immediately when I walked out of the subway, I saw the whole street lined with neon lights and plastic surgery clinics and like girls' faces and whatnot, telling them, hey, you should come to this clinic, you should come to that clinic. Apparently medical trips are a thing, so people will actually take a trip to South Korea to get plastic surgery done, and then also vacation there at the same time. So you have these hospitals that are also acting as hotels too. One of my classmates in class actually went and got double eyelid surgery one of the days, and she was absent from class, and all of a sudden she comes back and she has like bandages all over her face and whatnot, and it was as if it was normal. I've seen people in the subways with bandages all over their face and acting as if it's normal. Number 7 is basically the lack of trash cans on the street. So let's say you're eating like a rice ball or like a kimbap, you're done with it, you want to throw the trash away. You'll probably spend a good amount of time looking for a trash can, only to realize there aren't really any trash cans in the city. That's happened to me a couple times where I've actually looked for trash cans and couldn't find any. My Korean friend actually told me that, hey, like if you see a pile of trash, just throw it with the pile of trash. At first I was just like, whoa, I don't want to litter though. Like, what happens if it never gets picked up? Where I live, a lot of college students will throw trash on the street towards like 9 p.m. So the whole street will be littered with trash. And then in the morning when I wake up for class at like 9 a.m., all the trash is gone because someone came and picked it up. Number 8 is basically people in South Korea thinking that Americans run around with guns and shoot each other in our cities. Because I went to Myeongdong once and I was approached by a Korean lady and she asked where I was from and I told her I was from LA. And the next thing you know, she's like, "Oh, Compton?" And then like she like held up these two finger symbols and then started pointing it at me. And I was like laughing it off. But I was telling her that LA is not what you think it is. We don't actually, not everyone carries guns and we all shoot each other, you know. So that was really culturally shocking for me because this was something that other study abroad people would tell me to watch out for, because that's what people around the world have as a perception of America. Number 9, pedestrians do not have the right of way. So forget everything that you were taught in America about pedestrians having the right of way. In South Korea, none of this actually occurs. If you're not careful, you're gonna get run over by a car or get hit by a car. I honestly stepped onto the street and thought cars were gonna stop, and apparently they don't. And I almost got ran over by a couple taxi drivers and bus drivers on day 1. They drive really fast. Like some of them were like flooring it and then taking turns, really sharp turns and whatnot. But then they still get you to your destination and whatnot. You just have like a heart attack while you're in the car. They actually yell at pedestrians crossing the street for being too slow and whatnot. Number 10 is basically living quarters are really small in South Korea. Don't expect, if you're moving to South Korea, to have a really big apartment like you would have in America. And it's because the city's so densely populated that they have to cram a lot of people into these condos and apartments. So your room may basically just be one hallway and that's it. Essentially, that was my room at Yonsei when I studied abroad there. My room was basically a hallway, and then I had my side, my roommate had his side, and then we had the bathroom on one side, and then the closets on the other. There's not a lot of space, so that means you kind of have to live minimally, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. So number 11 is basically everything in regards to alcohol. The legal age to drink alcohol is actually only 18, whereas in the States it's 21. So a lot of people will actually go to South Korea to study there or to work there because the drinking age is only 18. Along with that, it's also open carry. So that means you could go to a liquor store or a convenience store, any convenience store, buy soju, beer, alcohol, and then just walk outside the convenience store and then just start drinking the alcohol in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night on the street, and no one will care because it's actually legal in South Korea. And what's so convenient about them, is that they're located right next to bars and clubs and whatnot. So technically you could go pre-game with alcohol for like $1 with soju, drink it all, and then, tipsy on over back into the club and have a good time. And actually you spend less money at the club, which is great. Not to mention, alcohol such as soju is actually cheaper than water, which is really crazy. There was one time when I was really thirsty and late to class, and I was debating on whether or not I should get soju or whether or not I should get water. Ended up choosing water, but a lot of my friends would have chose soju. But I don't see how that would work out, because then you would probably have a hard time focusing in class. So number 12, everything is sold in pairs of 2s. So no matter where you go, restaurants, movie theaters, they're all in amusement parks. Tickets and whatnot are all sold in pairs of 2s. Korean barbecue, you need minimum 2 people. Even the movie theater, when I wanted to watch a movie, it was cheaper to buy a ticket for 2 people than it was for 1 person. So number 13 is basically a lot of PDA. PDA meaning personal displays of affection. In America, we don't really see that as often, but in Korea, it's like really rampant and like it's like everywhere. You'll see Korean couples holding hands, kissing each other in public, at the bus stop, at the subway station. One of the biggest things that also shocked me was that couple culture is so prominent in Korea that there's stores that sell matching outfits and matching underwears. And it's really interesting because you'll know who's a couple in South Korea by judging based off what they wear. So if you see a guy with a striped shirt with the same striped shirt with the girlfriend, then that means that they're together, they're a thing. and it's crazy because couples will also coordinate outfits together. And it's pretty cute too. Yeah, it's really cute. See and whatnot. Number 14. Alright. Westernized food is expensive. So anything that you can think of. Steaks, hamburgers, even bags of Cheetos, flaming hot Cheetos, Takis. They're all gonna be really expensive in Korea. And I remember going to Outback Steakhouse and just looking at the menu, and I wanted a slab of steak because back at home I could get steak for like $13. And in Korea it was actually along the lines of $60 to $70 US, and that kind of shocked me. Fruit is very expensive in Korea, so better stock up on eating all the fruits back at home wherever you are, because in Korea fruits are just like a delicacy. There was one time when I went to Itaewon, and Itaewon is basically like a city where you would go to eat different foods from different countries. And one time I was craving Mexican food because I'm from California, and Mexican food was the one thing that I really missed. Like a good burrito was something that I would really die for in Korea. And I went to this one burrito place, and sure enough, they had the burrito, the California burrito, but the only problem was it was $15 a burrito, whereas back at home I would only pay $3 or $4 a burrito. So number 15 is basically the fact that chips in South Korea are all either sweet or honey. They don't really like salty chips and whatnot, so you won't find your cheesy Cheetos and whatnot, or Doritos, nacho cheese over there. Number 16, fried chicken. Fried chicken in America from KFC isn't that great, but fried chicken from Kentucky Fried Chicken, Kyo-chan in like South Korea is like amazing. So one of the things that we don't have in America is delivery service, and they have it in Korea. And what's really cool is you can call up a fried chicken and beer place, and they can take your order, and then they'll have someone that rides a motorcycle to the Han River where you're having a nice little picnic, and then swipe your credit card and then charge you for it. And there's no delivery fee, it's all free. So that's really crazy. But the only problem is, for some reason they don't have ranch in Korea, and someone should bring ranch because I think there's a big business over there. And all my friends that love ranch, that went to the States and got ranch on their chicken, are wondering why Korea doesn't have ranch at all. And I'm asking the same question as well. So number 18 is people don't hold doors for other people, unlike in other countries. So in America, we'll hold doors for other people as they're like coming in or out as a way of courtesy. But in Korea, it's every man for themselves. If you see someone that's going through a door, they're just gonna charge through the door and not hold it for anyone else. So just be aware, or else you might slam into the glass. Number 19 has to deal with public transportation and how in America, in California, our public transportation is terrible. So that's why everyone drives cars. It's funny because in Korea, not a lot of people have cars. Everyone actually walks and takes the subway, which is really cool because then that means you could go and get drunk or wasted and then walk back to the subway and get back home safely without drinking and driving. I actually underestimated their subway system because I always thought transfers between lines would be really close, like in Taipei. But their transfers are really far. Like they're like down the hallway. You gotta go through like two underground shopping malls and whatnot. And that's why you see in Korea that there's a lot of people that like run through like the underground shopping malls and whatnot because they're trying to catch their train. Number 20 is pretty significant in my opinion because CCTV is not really a thing in America where they have it on every street corner and everywhere you go. Literally, it was the first time that I felt Big Daddy was watching over me everywhere. And by everywhere, I mean even the slightest small alleyways, there's a camera there. I always see the cameras up top, and they're always like motion censored too, so they'll follow you around and whatnot. But I mean, the caveat is it's a lot safer to walk around at night in Korea than it is in LA. In LA, you can't really walk out at night, But in Korea, I've seen girls walk home like kind of buzzed and drunk at like 3 a.m. in the morning. And even my parents, when they came to visit, they were kind of shocked that girls were allowed to walk at night and nothing would happen to them. And it's because, for the most part, most of Korea is pretty safe because of cameras and whatnot, and someone's always watching you. But I know that in the States, not a lot of people like that. So basically that rounds off the 20 things that shocked me the most as a foreigner living in South Korea. I think it's interesting to hear it from a foreigner's perspective sometimes, you know, especially when you're living in a place that you're not accustomed to. It kind of makes you rethink the privileges and things that you have back at home. But yeah, if you like the content that I just made, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more future videos and whatnot on this channel. I'm going to personally be making more videos like this in the future, and also a lot of other filmmaking stuff. So if you're interested in that too, make sure to, you know, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.